Hey guys, so a while ago I was thinking how I would set up my JB4 to display on my E92335i, and I thought about doing a P4 event gauge, but those are about $400, and I thought the whole time I have a dedicated Idrive screen that's also a CIC system, so it's pretty much useless. So I thought, why not wire Android into the iDrive system and have the JB4 app running to it? And that's what I'm gonna try to do today. I'm gonna try to set it up for under 400 bucks. Okay, guys, and the way I'm gonna try to achieve this is using the XCarLink car video integration system. It's for the CCC system, and what's cool about it is you get a little box and you actually can add your camera input here, but the one that I'm more interested in is the video one in. So right here you have many, I think, what is it, 2 different video inputs, and that's going to be what that's the main reason I'm interested in this thing. I think I bought it for a little bit over $200 on eBay. I think it came all the way from Britain. So that's that. The next part of it, what's actually going to be given the video, is going to be one of these little it's the Measly U2C mini Android PC, and the main reason I went with this one is it actually has an audio video out. Now this is important for this system because the XCarLink system does not have an HDMI input, so this portion is useless, but using audio video out and using one of these RCA to 3.5mm cables, I should be able to get the video out of this thing and into that. The next, obviously, little things to power it, so I'm gonna be using a little 12-volt to USB adapter to power it, a cable to run that, and an OTG cable to plug the JB4 or MHD cable into it, whatever you guys are using. And as far as controlling it, I'm gonna be using one of these little doohickeys. It's a little Bluetooth remote. The alternative method I was considering was using a tablet like a Nexus 7 tablet and using mini micro USB to HDMI and HDMI to RCA adapter to get that video back going to this little piece of equipment. But the big hiccup with that is this thing could not do 3 things at once. It could not charge, do OTG, which is USB on the go from the JB4 MHD, and could not do video out through HDMI or whatever at the same time. It could only do 2 out of 3 of those. The only way that this would work is if you use the JB4 and you had a JB4 Connect kit. So meaning you could do this to charge and video out, but have the data come in via Bluetooth to the tablet. The very big upside of this system is it does have its own battery with GPS, and it does have a dedicated touchscreen. So you wouldn't necessarily need the remote. You could just take it out, do what you want, throw it back in the glove box, and have everything set up, show up on the iDrive system. But the Bluetooth and everything else makes things a little bit more complicated than I would like. But the other big advantage of this, it does have its own dedicated battery. So when you're doing, like, if you're going to do a backhand flash, if you're switching from gas pump flash to A85 flash, it would have its own power supply, meaning you could do that. You could do a flash with it. The way around it, the only way around it is to have between the car 12-volt output and this, have a little dedicated, a little portable external battery. This way, to keep power a little bit more constant. So if the car flashes and the power cycles on and off, this thing would still have power to do the flash. But that's something I plan to do later. I'll play around with it the way it's first and refine it as I go. Okay guys, so we're going to start by disassembling the dashboard, and I'm also going to, probably it's not necessary, but I'm going to disassemble the bottom tray as well. I'm thinking that's where I'm going to tap in for the 12-volt power for the USB, making sure that's where it goes. But as you can see right there, I have my, the cable sticking out. That's the JB4 cable, and I'm assuming you guys have this, you got this port, or you have an MHD reader plugged in, so you could do that. Okay guys, so the first thing I did is remove the upper portion, the wood trim of the dash, and everything's pretty straightforward. You just pull it out. The only thing that was a headache was right here. There is a clip right here, and it goes in right there, and that was a little bit hard to pull out. The other thing that's a pain in the ass, on the bottom for some reason you have 2 connectors in there. Let me shine some light on that. But you do have 2 connectors back there, which are a little bit of a pain in the ass to get to. Here is them pulled out, and the other connectors for the start button. That's it. Once you pull that out, everything is easy. Next step is to remove the HVAC controls, and it's pretty easy once you get that out. Just take one of these things, and there you go. And that's all down. And now we're just going to disconnect it. Haven't seen this one before. This is the one where they need to plug out a little. So, watch for that. Okay guys, and for this next part we're going to remove the iDrive cover, I guess, the iDrive system cover. So let's get to it. Just roll this out of the way and leave it like, oh. So that part's out too. Okay guys, so the next part is, I'm not sure if it's really, and as I'm sure a bunch of you guys know, this thing just pops up. I did disconnect the iDrive plug back there. I'm not sure if you guys could see that. That's been disconnected. Can't figure out how to remove the shift boot, so I'm not gonna bother. Just gonna try to take it out the way it is. And so that's all out, and we do have quite a few good cables back here, so I'm sure I could use one of these as a 12-volt power supply. Okay guys, and for the next part we're going to disassemble the bottom of the dashboard. It's pretty straightforward. There's a little, I think it's a T20 here and a T20 there, and I think the rest just pops out if I remember correctly, so we're going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay guys, so quick update of my progress. So I did remove the bottom tray. It was a little bit tricky. You needed to remove the cup holders as well to pull that out, and along with the faceplate. And the reason for that is, it's a little bit weird to me because I came from an E46. But when this tray stays clipped in, if you notice there's two holes up there. The back of the cup holders, which are here, they slide right in and they fix it into place, so you cannot pull that off until you pull these things out. That's the first thing. The second thing is, so I did get the iDrive unit out. It's right here. Pretty easy, straightforward. I just unclipped the connector, and the next step would be to get the screen out, and so we could plug the second connector in there. So I'll go ahead and do that. It's pretty easy, just two little screws up there, and that's it. Removing the iDrive screen is very easy. It's just the two little screws back here. I think they're very, very small torque screws. They're right here. Very, very, very small. Once you take it out, there's two connectors. This one, which plugs in right here, and then there's this one back here, which plugs in on the side. This is going to be the one that we're going to be hijacking, so I'll keep you up to date as I go. Okay, so a little bit of an issue came up. So it looks like the car link, the video module, the little box back there that I hid away that does the video hijacking, I haven't plugged in completely. Looks like the cable from that box to the iDrive screen is very short, and because this does have a Logic 7 speaker up top, but you can't integrate it and hide that little box behind the actual iDrive screen. There's cable from the box to the iDrive screen makes it very, very challenging. It's a little bit too short. If they made it, 4 inches longer, everything would have been significantly easier. But I don't think this portion was designed with a Logic 7 sound system in mind. Okay, so really quickly, if you notice the little boxes back there, and I'm limited of where I can pull it based on the cable that you see running with the white line in the background. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it doesn't interfere with the HVAC system back here, because it's a little bit tight fit and all the mechanism for enclosing the vents right there as well. So I'm going to test that, make sure that doesn't interfere with each other. If it's good, we're going to continue to the next step. Okay, so I was able to get the screen and the HVAC covered beneath there, so remember the module was right there. It looks like I was able to move it out of the way, and there's still just a little bit of slack, but it's still a pain in the ass, and I think I might have bent one of the wires a little bit too hard, so if this stuff doesn't work, I think I know a pretty good idea where the fault is. Definitely a strike against the X-Carlink, whatever the company that calls itself manufactures these units. If they made the cable maybe 2 inches longer, would have been so much easier, or if they made the module about half the size, half as thin, it would have been just easier as well. But they kind of did the in-between, but everything fits, all the gaps line up, everything lines up perfectly. It took me 3 tries, but on the 3rd try I finally got it to fit. So another issue I had was the connectors that plugs in the back of the iDrive unit, combined with the old connector that used to plug in from the car that used to plug into the iDrive unit. When you combine them, they end up being about this big and about this square, so there's very little room back there to hide it. I was finally able to push some wires out of the sight on the right-hand bottom corner and drive it behind the dash. Once again, a little bit of a pain in the ass. Could have been done better, but you get what you paid for. Okay, guys, so it looks like the guys at X-Carlink actually redeemed themselves in my eyes. So what they did is they gave me this wire called accessory out. It's a yellow wire coming out of the loom. And if you notice, I have the ground set up to the cigarette lighter. I have the plus running there, and so with the ignition on, I have nearly 12 volts, which is more than enough for me. Most importantly, when I turn it off, I still have the same thing. Better yet, after I close the car, it'll take about 30-40 seconds. So if you notice, the module is still flashing, it's still doing its thing. And I still have my 11 volts. Well, let's give it about 10 to 15 seconds. So I'm not sure if you guys could see, the module finally powered off, and it's no longer giving me 12 volts. But the most important thing is when I take my key and I hit unlock, the module powers on and starts sending power via this yellow wire to what would have been the Mizi U2C. Therefore, the mini Android PC starts booting up before I even get to the car. The moment I hit unlock, it starts powering up. This way, when I get into the car and actually power it on, and it is a little bit of a long boot cycle, it takes about 40 seconds for it to power up. Let's see. So there you go. There's the display. Come on. So there you go. R-Box powering up. And hopefully this way, I'm hoping that I get to cut down some of that boot time. At least that's the hope. Okay, so you guys, so the other thing I did was I took, since this thing has no audio output, so I took a 2 RCA audio and video right and left and ran it from here all the way around underneath here, all the way into the back here. So if down the line, and it ends with a 3.5mm jack. This way down the line, if I ever want to play sound off of it, I can. I just plug it in through the auxiliary cord, and that's it. But this is just worst case scenario in the future in case we don't come up with anything better. Okay guys, a little change of plan. So both the audio wire and the toggle wire, I ran underneath here. Instead of having it come out through there, I had to make it come out through the bottom because this trim piece wouldn't fit too well right here. So I had to go around it. So let's see, hopefully it fits a little bit better this time around. Okay guys, so I have everything connected. I did add the toggle button back here and I'll glue it underneath there so it's not visible. But the other cool thing I didn't know before, by actually pressing and holding the menu button, you could actually toggle that on and off. So iDrive versus back to the JB4 settings. And actually right now it's already connected to the JB4, so here's everything's a little bit stretched, but I can. As far as the connections back here, it's GPS integration box, and everything's pretty easy. Back here is everything connected, JB4